We're live. Bob, how are you doing, my man?
Good. How are you, Kat? Good morning. Well, good morning for me, at least.
What time is it at your place?
It is 5:38 in the morning.
5:38. I mean, well, that's a good way to start your day, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, like, why don't we just to be like super transparent here? I'm still like figuring out stuff like a little bit. Let me like share this one in like the MidEvils chat. I think like it makes sense to get like as many people in who
sure.
might be in, whoops, who might be remotely interested in MidEvils, right? At the end of the day, as mentioned many times before, this is not sponsored content. We just love MidEvils NFT. We think they're great. We think they're fun. And that's kind of why we, well, I've been waiting to basically get you on because like you're both a will as well as you're leading MidHorde DAO.
Yeah. I started as a small whale and have over the last couple months slowly accumulated. I was lucky enough to accumulate quite a bit during that down period. So feeling pretty good right now.
I mean, how many did you accumulate?
I've got, I think at my highest was about 110. I think right now I'm down to like 107. I'm still actively trading here and there. I sold a few for the first time in like months over the last few days. So definitely a lot of activity going on in the last, this week. It started off kind of slow, but Monday just kind of took off with a bang.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to say, but like I think like MidEvils is one of like the very few actually being up like 2.5x from its lows, which was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, there was a point 3 or 4 weeks ago where they were under mint. I mean, I was buying up anything that was under 0.4 where I could, and help me kind of accumulate my small army of floors. And the hardest part for me as I would accumulate more floors is not trading them for mid rares and grails, because you would have something out there and I'd be like, oh, that's so nice and I want it, but I did my best to, because I knew I was going to need floors as primevals come up, and just the burn events are going to be an ongoing thing, whether it's primevals, whether it's orcs, whether so there's always going to need to be a demand for floors, and they're just going to get more and more rare as we've already started to see the price start to tick up. And you're seeing things on the floor that 2.5 months ago wouldn't have been a floor. You'll see laser eyes, you'll see bogs, different ones that are kind of just creeping into that floor. You'll see a beast maybe sneak in here and there. But yeah, it's exciting times, a lot of stuff coming up.
Would you say that would you say that like grills, mid rares, etc., are like underappreciated, or do you kind of feel like that is what it is?
Oh, it's a tough question. I mean, compared to, there was a point there early where we almost hit 1 soul, and we might have hit 1 soul, and grails were going for, you'd have a summoner going for 10, you'd have ghost stars going for close to 20 soul. And so one might argue that we were overpriced at that point if you do a floor multiplier. I don't know. So maybe this is a more normalization on where we're at right now. But it has a, purely from an emotional perspective, it feels undervalued. But what the reality of it is, who knows? Who knows what, and I don't have the same experience of like the gods that you do. So I'd be curious from your lens, should a grail be 10x? Should a mid rare be 3x the floor? What's a normal parameter?
That's a tough one, right? Like I do kind of feel that like they're being listed correctly, they're not being sold correctly right here, right now, right? I don't think, especially when like the floor is somewhat low, what you often see is that they are like the grills are not. I mean, like that's when like grills are more expensive, right? Because I mean, look at like the Merlin's cloak, for example. Right now, sitting at what 9-10x floor price. I do think that's rather high. I do
Yeah.
think like the summoner's armor, them being listed where they're being listed right now, I think like that's where they should be sold right now. So I think like that's a fair pricing. I do kind of feel that the mythic skins are vastly underpriced,
Yeah.
but to be honest with you, I also kind of believe that like people just don't really care for the skins that much, and also since like the characters are not that big, like if you look at like the frame, right, within like medievals, like the medieval characters are more so on the smaller side than on the bigger side. I don't think it helps them with the way all people give shits about them, if you will. So anyways, like sorry.
No, I was just saying that's an interesting comment. I never thought about that. And if you the orcs do are a little bulkier. So, and
Yeah.
I know you've mentioned that you've commented before on the orc art being a little more, I don't want to say nicer necessarily, but maybe a little more aesthetically pleasing than some of the mids being very mid.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of are very mid. It kind of is what I mean, man. Like, I think you would have to like implement some minor tweaks to get people to more so appreciate them. It's going to be like interesting, but like I do kind of feel that like right now too much emphasis is being like brought up on like the floors, and I get it because of like the whole burning mechanism. But like as a collector, you want to have like you want to have yourself like a shining Charizard and not like a Charmander, right?
Right. No, for sure. And this project's going to be interesting, and that I think it's going to be looked at historically and in phases. And I think 2020 now through 2026 is going to be kind of the first phase, which will be getting the collection down to probably somewhere around 3,000 to 3,500, because at some point you have to stop burning. You can't burn to zero, or you don't. There's no incentive to burn to 1,000 or something like that. You're just going to end up with this super small guys that are just jerking each other off. So at some point they're going to have to say, okay, the collection's where it's at, and look to evolve in a different way. So that's where I think it'll get interesting. But we're a long ways from there, and then really, and I think a lot of people are excited about this burn mechanism. We look at Prime. Orcs was fun. There's a little hiccup when it went out, but those things went quick. The fervor from the trading those couple days after, and even continuing, was so fun and so exciting. We saw great. We saw the one of ones moving hands those first couple weeks. And I know you were able to secure one. I think Ronan has the other. Is it Ronan, or did he? I think Aberg traded one to Ronan. But I mean, that was super fun watching all that happen.
True. I mean, but like that's the exciting part about like being part of medievals. It never stops, right? Like it really doesn't.
No. And
there's
I mean,
always like. Sorry, please go ahead.
No, and when we look at Primevals now bringing in this whole burn mechanism, you're burning to save, but they're just naturally burning. Is like I'm so, you look at things like training, you look at things like this, and you think it's going to go one way. Okay, yeah, you have an opinion in your head. Okay, like if you look at training, we're at 1,500. When that idea was thrown around, I was thinking it would, best case scenario, we hit 1,500. That was what was in my head. We're 2 weeks in and we hit 1,500. I'm like, holy moly, this is interesting. And now, like, can we hit 1,750? Can we hit 2,000? What does that do? What kind of supply squeeze? And just kind of running all those scenarios in your head, and it's what makes it fun. I mean, I'm kind of a numbers guy, so it keeps it interesting for me. and then kind of just, thinking things are going to go in one direction and watching it go somewhere else is fun. And I mean, that's what the project's all about, is having fun.
It's having fun, and at the end of the day, kind of like fucking around and finding out, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And if we make some money, that's a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, well, at the very least, like we're here in the heart of like the NFT bear market. We'll see. Like, we're either gonna be like the ones advocating like a dying market, or people will jump on like the collectability of these things, right?
Yeah, that's the big macro question. And market conditions definitely aren't helping for anyone to want to jump in or into things like this. So we have a good sized community, and I think the Solana NFT community is a decent size, but in these market conditions, it's hard to get new people to come in and get excited about it. So we just continue to grind through it.
True. Like at on the other hand, though, like this is when you want to like start building these kind of things, right? Like especially when there's no one here, you want to make a name for yourself and like plant the seeds for like when everyone and their mom is here. Like you're gonna be set for life. Not from like a monetary aspect, but more so from like the collectability of things.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's been interesting to see kind of I touched on a little bit before, the initial euphoria. We minted out, everyone's excited. I think, and revisionist history, to be honest with you. So feel free to correct me if I don't remember everything exactly. But minted out, a lot of activity, kind of died down. Then we had a big spike around the first couple burns and so forth. Died down again. We had traders in the beginning that were coming in trying to make some money, lots of activity, less activity, people getting angry about things not moving, people coming in, people coming out. Still a little bit of that, but it seems like as a base, I don't want to say normalized, but got closer to that normalization level of kind of like a strong base community that's here to see what happens and have fun with it.
No, I hear you. I think you're right. Well, I mean, interesting food for thought, right? Like that's the exciting part about like whenever we're gonna have like a NFT bull market, NFT euphoria, NFT craze, whatever you want to call it. Like this is you always hear about like the people who were there when basically no one was, and like who basically were advocating for being part of this space, and that's exactly what we're doing right here, right now. And it's going to be like an interesting few years to see what this space is going to develop like.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I do feel very strongly about the team that's building and what they're doing and their vision, and they definitely seem here to stay. And they've pivoted where they saw necessary, and they've been open to community feedback. So yeah, if you're going to put your get behind a horse, I think this is a good one.
I think so too, and especially like it's they are as hardcore of founders within like the Solana NFT ecosystem. If you're gonna get right, like obviously they have like a huge following through DGOTs already, etc. So it's interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure. They definitely have some name recognition, and from that period, and I think that hurt them a little bit in the beginning, to be honest, because I think everybody expected Candy and Johnny to be frank from day one and just go and blast it out, and the hype man, and Candy was very vocal that that's not what we're going to do here. But people hear what they want to hear. People have their preconceived notions. But like I said, I think that's normalized a bit, and I think people that are still around understand kind of what it's about now, and actually listen to what he's saying, as opposed to just I hear you, but do this instead. I hear you, but no, you have to be this.
I think like in the beginning, they, it's interesting what you say. I really agree with that. first and foremost. I do kind of feel like a lot of people who were wills, especially, just did a whole bunch of emotional buying, right? To where it's like, hey, I got this many now. You should, at the very least, like partially listen to what I have to say. And I mean, like, if you don't like it, just fuck off, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, and I will say, Candy did a good job of trying to manage that, to be respectful and hear what people have to say, but also say, we're not going to change our thesis based on a few people are upset on how things are going because of the floor price. We built this away. We have a vision on how this should be. They're willing to pivot, but I do appreciate not immediately bending to the whales on day one.
Yeah, I mean, like, it makes sense, right? I mean, and also like partially whatever they did, we're here.
Yep.
It does make sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's gonna be like interesting food for thought, if anything. But yeah, I mean, this is what excites me. Like, DGOT's already had like their massive wave up. I think like if you want to be like part of something new and exciting, that's where MidEvils really shine, because like they've delivered over the past 6 months, which has been absolutely crazy. And to our DGOTs is more of a collectability kind of thing, lore kind of thing right here, right now.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I do think they have to do more. They have to try harder because they don't have that history behind them. They don't have the time they've been around and so forth. So yeah, they got to convince people, here's why you should be part of the MidEvils universe, and here's
True.
what the value we're bringing to you, whether it be financial or whether it just be emotional joy or fun.
Yeah, emotional support.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, you know what, the cool thing is, I think like MidEvils really is blessed with a bunch of individuals who do their part, right? I mean, like, we're having like this conversation on the live stream right now, and on the other hand, like, you also like you're the one who's basically I wouldn't say like pulling the dead horse, because like that's not positive enough, but like you are definitely like the one who's behind MidHorde, right? And that's basically why we were gonna have like this conversation on stream, and that's basically to talk about like, hey, how did you get here? Why did you decide to basically like represent MidHorde DAO, if you will? What it's standing for, what you want to achieve with that, and basically where you guys are at right now.
Yeah. No. So, Orc Wars rolled around, and just like everyone else, so excited about it. I had had quite a few floors built up for it, so I was ready to go. I was there. I was clicking, and if we go back to that, that scenario, what happened is, you went to the page, you clicked it. So I'm in there, and I do the first one, I lose, because if you remember correctly, it was, you sent 2 in, there was a 90% chance they both die. There was a 10% chance one comes back, or they come back and you still get an orc. So I did my first one, I lose, but I get this orc. I did the second one, I lose, but I get this orc. I think it's either the third or the fourth one I won, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I think I had I had enough floors to do, 8 to 10. So I get that fourth one and I win. I'm like, yes. I do it again. I win again. I'm like, this is awesome. I do it again. I win again. I'm like, wow, this is great. I do that about 4 more times, and I'm like, something is wrong. This doesn't seem right. And so I message Ahab. I'm like, either this is the luckiest day of my life or something isn't working. And that's when they shut it down. So, Yeah, and it was fun and it was crazy at the same time, because everybody's, I think Yumi and Hawk were in a chat or something like that, and everyone's trying to, oh, this, I don't have the right thing in here, and we're doing stuff. But it was crazy, it was fun, and I got a bunch of orcs at that time. And just to get back to, and I ended up sending a bunch back to the team just to, and they redistributed and did what they did and got it worked out. And then when they reopened, I got a few more. So it all worked out. But that was my entry point into the orcs. And there was talk of there being an orc DAO. I got nominated, recruited. That's how I got there.
Gotcha.
The funny thing is I didn't, and I never really held that many orcs, so I felt a little weird about it. Like, oh, I wanted to be like, if I'm going to do this, I need to be the number one orc guy. And I tried my best to get that. I think I both with you and C5, I've tried to make some trades. And I just couldn't get those grails from you guys. But I'm okay with that. And it's been fun so far. It started off kind of slow with the DAO, but I've picked up on a lot of stuff that I've done recently. Oh, and one thing I did want to clarify, I know I was listening to you and Z-Fi earlier. I do have all the Uzis. So there's 4 Uzis in the orc collection. I did collect all of those.
I was gonna say, dude, because like I was looking at your profile picture right here, right now,
Yeah.
and like, but like that's kind of what medieval stand for, right? Like on the one hand, it's an orc. On the other hand, he's wearing a tracksuit and pointing at you with an Uzi. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So right after the orcs were done and we had them, my goal was to get as much of the monster racer as I could, because I collect the steeds. So I think I have 40% of the steeds in the regular collection.
Nice.
So I was trying to collect them on. So I was able to get 5 of the 8 monster racers. I have 4 now because I traded the skeleton one to Candy for one of his Gwens.
Yeah.
I couldn't say no to the boss.
Yeah. I mean, like, that was like a good skelly as well, right?
Yeah. No, I had done some artwork for it, like some AI stuff, and I was looking through my files yesterday, and I saw some that I did, and I was like, oh, I remember that guy.
I mean, like, it's one of the better looking ones. Let me see if I can like pull it up for like anyone interested. Wait.
Yeah, no, it's the orc traits are similar to what in the normal mids, but have their own spin on them. And as you kind of said, they have. I think the art is a little bit more less mid. Let's just say a little more true to the form of what they are. But still with a little bit of whimsy to them. And as you mentioned, kind of the bigger, bulkier, take up a bit more of the space.
Wait, let me.
But I've been on a mission the last 2 weeks trying to collect as many orcs as I can. I did a trade. Oh yeah, there we go. That's the one. Yep.
It's a good one. Does Hawk still have this one?
Yep. In fact, he is. He might be looking to trade.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, like it's a really good one. One of the better ones.
One of my favorites that I have too is it's a background like that, and it has a crown and it has the Uzi. The pink background.
The Hades one.
Right? Hades, yeah. So if you sort by Hades, you have to take away the skeleton.
Yeah.
That guy, yeah.
This is yours, right?
Yep.
I mean, like that's one of the better orcs in the entire collection, and like honestly, probably one of the better mids in general, right? Hades background only has like 5 or something like that, 6, 7.
Yeah, there's only 4 Uzis.
Yeah,
I mean, I would say that's probably my second favorite one, but my favorite has to be the full Monster Racer. So, Monster Racer helmet, Monster Racer garb.
let me just like dig through your wallet.
Okay.
You got
There it is.
yourself a Ghost as well.
Yep. Yeah, that's
this
my
one is
favorite
really
one
good.
for sure. And that was one that I think had to be manually created in order to in order to hit in the collection.
I think so. I mean, like this is interesting, right? Because like this is going to be like one out of probably the 3 mythic or like 1 out of 1s, or maybe like 1 out of 4, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this one raises up to that same level. I mean, as much as I'd like to pump my own bag, I mean, I don't think it's in the same class as the full wizard or the full necromancer. I mean, those are S tier. This is maybe A tier.
Sure. I mean, like it's A tier nevertheless, though.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, having said that, maybe it's time for you to show like everyone what you've been working on.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me just get set up. So the MidHorde. So first caveat I'll give, I'm not a coder by any means, and I have embraced the Claude Code lifestyle. So been able to build a lot of different things. I will say that for anyone that's interested in messing around with this stuff, it's a very powerful tool, and you can do a ton of stuff. And it's been loads of fun. It kind of just started with a Candy post. It was actually something that Frank did a video with a guy named Rasmer on teaching him how to use Claude Code, and I watched that based on Candy's advice, and got it set up and just started messing with it. And I would say that the one bit of advice that Frank gave in that video is ask everything. Just if you don't know, and as simple things, where do I put this in? How do I do this? How do I do this? Can I do this? And it's crazy how well it can turn out. And this whole site is built that way. So this is kind of the main page. There's 6 different little boxes right now that you can click to take you to different areas. This gives you kind of a little bit of history on the Orc Wars, and I pulled in as much of the art as I could that the guys did. And then this kind of talks about what the DAO is. We want to bring value to Orc holders, but also, continue to bring attention and support the MidEvils as a NFT collection. And this whole thing started with a collage maker. I think it was Dane who'd done a collage maker for us at one time, and it was great, and I used it all the time. But when the graveyard came out, it started to cause some issues where it was bringing in the graveyard mids too. So I was struggling to pull those out as I create collages, because I trade a lot in BST, or I did. So I'm like, oh, maybe I can make something. And that's where this tool kind of came, and there's been lots of iterations of it since the very beginning, and been able to do quite a bit to get it where it is, and I'll kind of demonstrate it. So you can put one wallet address in, you can put multiple wallets. So if you're holding mids across multiple wallets and want to do one single collage, you can do that here. So lots of things you can sort by, lots of things you can filter by. One of the new features I added recently is you could see just orcs if you want, or all your MidEvils. And this is the one that's I find the most value in right now, is it'll sort by whether your mids are in training or not in training. So if I can look at and see very easily what I can trade and what I can't trade. So these are what I have available to trade. And if it's listed, it'll show up as trading, so it won't show up here. So right now I have 100 in training and 9 that I can still trade. So for example, here, if I wanted to create a collage, I can just select them all. I can create a collage. I can mess with the spacing. I can make it look different based on how I want to view it. And then I can move things around if I want to. And then the app fills in spaces with the Horde logo. This one doesn't look good for the amount I have, but and then I download it and we're good. So it's an easy tool if you want to make collages to show off. And I think that's part of the fun, is being able to kind of show off our NFTs. And then if you want, like if I wanted to do a big one, say I want to sort it by clothing, I want to select all, and then I can create these large, and the other thing is I can move things around once it's here if I want to group them differently. It was a lot easier to do this when you have like 20 or 30, and you mess with them. When you get up to like 100 plus, and you start having to move them all around, it becomes a bit of a pain. So I built this kind of, how can I make my life easier when I want to build a big collage? But I want them grouped a certain way. Like I want all of these to be together, and I want all these to be together. I want all these to be together. So it's one of those things, you build it for yourself to make your life easier. But hey, maybe it helps somebody else.
I mean, you know what? Like, it's a nice to have, if anything, right? Like, it's cool to have like a DAO to where you have like stuff like this working, to basically where you can just like, it's tested by community members, it's created for community members, plus like it brings you some kind of a feeling of community in general as well. So I don't know, I think like the added value is just like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Another thing I created, and this is very similar to what Candy released, I think it was yesterday, the NFT viewer. So that there's a viewer on the main website, but this one's just for orcs. Again, you can filter by different things. You can look at different traits. The boxes here are a little bigger. And this is a bit controversial, but I did create my own rarity scale. When I go on Tensor and so forth, I feel like some of the high value orcs didn't show up right. So I'm like, well, let me just see if I wanted to do it, my own. So I did that. And what I did is these two always came to the top, but these two didn't. So I forced these two to always be, so 1 through 4 is always going to be the same no matter what. Because I think, feel free to argue, but I personally, I think beyond the 1 of 1s, and some may argue even more, this is the top, with this being, this is 1A and 1B in the collection outside of the 1 of 1s.
No, I agree. And as mentioned before, like there are 2 other, like there's the wizard syrup orc.
Yeah, this guy right here.
Yeah, I mean, but like if you wanna like call that one a 1 out of 1, it's kind of similar to the one you own, right? Like with the tracksuit orc. What's it called?
The monster racer.
Yeah. Arguably those are 1 out of 1s as well, but like I do kind of feel like this is where it makes sense.
Yeah. And then the other thing I force ranked these 4. I made the helm have a higher weighting than other traits, just because I feel like the helm is always going to be the most, what we've seen historically is going to be one of the most desirable traits. So I gave it the highest weight. Then I also gave weight to the armor. Then I gave weight to the wizard hat and the wizard the wizard armor here.
Yeah, Morgoth's cloak.
Yeah, exactly. So I added some weighting to there. Now it doesn't necessarily bring everything to the top. I think it brought all of these to the top 10, but there's still a lot of Morgoth stuff that didn't make it. And you can see, you know, there's still a lot of things that, you know, I would argue that this one's maybe ahead of this one, but there's only so much you can do in terms of trying to keep it still a relatively math-based system without going in and adjusting every single one. So, and I still may tweak it.
At the end of the day, right? Like, what is rarity? I think like maybe when more new people will come in, more people will care about like things like rarity.
Yeah.
But like the ones who are elbow deep into some kind of a NFT brand, whether it's DGOTs, Matlands, MidEvils, whatever, it's more so on the traits, right? And I guess like the combination of traits in general.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of people really like crowns, you know, and I think that's kind of, you know, historically based on other NFT collections that, you know, crowns is a common trait. A lot of people seem to like nakeds. So nakeds tend to get a lot of attention too. You know, the Mickeys, you know, those tend to get a lot of attention. So yeah, you know, but then you have something like this that just looks cool as fuck, you know, and maybe
True.
not traditionally as the traits that, I mean, horns is a pretty traditional trait, but still like, and this one recently sold. I think MC got it. But boy, that one's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, like I was planning on buying it myself until it got bought up. So
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
Quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is just some, you know, like I said, the rarity thing is purely just for fun, and I have a disclaimer in here. You know, and feel free to debate it. Feel free to give me input. Like, you know, I think you should weight this way. I'm open to suggestions if anyone has other ways. But, you know, if you want to just come in and look at works, this is a good place to do it. You know, you click on them and it gives you kind of some of the details on the NFT.
True.
Also created a game. I won't go too much in detail. It's basically just a tower defense game. I do want to build this out and make like 5 or 6 games, just because games are fun. And I mean, right now there's no, and there could be a world where maybe, you know, there's a tournament in one of the games, and at the end of the week, the highest score gets a free mid or something like that. I don't know. I got to still figure all that out. So there could be some gamification in here at some point, but for right now, it's just for fun, and people want to go in and have fun. They can. There's a leaderboard. So there's 3 different levels. So you can see Cyberbull is number 1 on the easy. Oh, he's number 1 on the medium too. And Brody is number 1 on the hard, like number 1 convincingly. Like, he is a beast. Like I can't beat it. And I started off with it making it pretty easy, and then Brody beat it fairly quick. And then as he I kept making it harder, and he kept beating it. I think it took him like 3 days at the current level to beat it. And I was like, you know what? It's just going to make it too hard for everyone else. But he is a bit of a tower defense wizard.
Oh, I mean, jeez. That's crazy. But it's cool to see that you're getting appreciation through these things, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, project's about fun. It's fun for me to kind of do the Claude coding and you know, hey, can you add this? Hey, can you try this? Let's do this. Oh, what about if this works? And just, you know, going through the process, and hopefully people can have some fun with it. And it seems like a few people have, so that's good.
Absolutely.
This is probably the coolest thing. Still in beta, still testing. But this is a swap that you can do. It's not a completely trustless swap. It's a custodial swap. So it goes into an escrow wallet that I can access if needed. If something gets stuck, I can push it out. It's etc. But it's basically, you can trade NFTs. It only works for MidEvils. I made it specific to that, and it's free if you own an orc. If you don't own an orc, it's 0.2 or 0.02. Sorry, 0.02.
It's just still like 5 times cheaper than famous foxes.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really just made for MidEvils. I'm not trying to compete with them necessarily. But it's just something that if you own an orc and you're comfortable with it, yeah, give it a shot. And I'll just, like, I've I've done 35 so far, and a lot of these are just trading between my 2 wallets. But this was with Top Blaster yesterday. I gave a burnt tip and 0.2 soul, and I got a bronze orc from him. And Zfi helped me test a little bit on backpack and soul flare, so we got those working. It does have a limit, 5 NFTs and only 5 soul. I didn't want it to be much higher than that. Again, it's meant just for our guys, for people that are part of the MidEvils community that want to use this. If people do pay to use it, it does go into the DAO wallet, so that's where the money will go. But yeah, this is there, still testing it. It's there if people want to use it. It's not technically officially released yet, as I still want to keep testing. I'd like to get 50 plus transaction history and just keep trying to break it as much as I can before I go a little more public with it.
No, that makes sense. Okay, interesting though. I mean, like if all's gonna go according to plan, you might want to up those limits, right?
Yeah. Start small, and we'll go from there.
Sure.
Then again, just kind of for fun, this is a leaderboard with some stats specific just to orcs. So you can see right now we've got 103 holders of the collection, 326 orcs. 8% is currently listed, so 26 are listed. 61% are in training, which is pretty good. I think obviously that's double what the main collection is. Floor price is 0.98 soul right now, and then you can see if people want to link it, they can link their wallets, and it shows you your ranking. And then if you click this, you can see your orcs, and it'll tell you if they're enlisted. So you can see right now all my orcs are enlisted. And then the last thing on here is there's your own personal page you can look at. This is still, I'm still messing with this, but basically it shows you your orc. It gives you some basic metrics. And then I created some badges, again, just for fun. There's nothing behind this. There's no prizes, again, just for fun. So, if you hold 20 plus orcs, you get this badge, and you can share it on X. Again, just things to make it fun. And I'll continue to mess with this and add things. And then based on the ranking, you can see like, okay, I have 1 legendary, 3 epic, 2 rare, and 15 commons.
Between orcs, right?
Yeah, this is just orc. Everything on here is just orcs except for the collage. The collage you can bring in your whole collection, but everything else is linked to specifically just orcs.
And I guess the swap, you can swap like any mid.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is a lot of fun, and I do kind of feel like, especially when NFTs would start to catch more hype, more interest. These are like the things which will really make like a difference for people to just like get themselves an org to be a part of this DAO, and like I'm sure it's going to grow as time goes on.
Yeah, no, and I've got some other ideas that I'm cooking right now.
Okay.
Like I said, I already mentioned I want to expand the game. I want to make like an arcade with like 6 games. Kami God mentioned something about maybe like an auction. So I'm fiddling with that. Like you could put your mid up for auction, and if people are interested in that, it seems fairly easy to build. I'm looking at, I'm hoping to maybe get the layer art and build like a create your own orc, kind of like what Digaz did. And I think in the beginning we had a mid one. Somebody had built one with all the mids where you can, put a crown and a background and make something like that. I just need to get the art. And then a DAO voting system. I think I might put something like that in if we get more mature to the point where, we're doing real shit and there's real money involved.
I mean, like, if you want, like, I do believe that all of the art is out in Figma.
Oh, everything that detail. Okay. All right,
Yeah,
I'll take a
like
look at that.
if you want me, I'll send it to you like after the stream. But like, I actually have a mythic tier tier list, mythic trait tier list video coming out today on MidEvils.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so for that, I need to have like access to all of the assets there.
But yeah, so this is the Horde site for now. Again, open to feedback, open to, hey, I'd like to see this, I'd like to see this. If anyone has ideas, if there's anything missing, if you think it's stupid, all feedback is a gift. So I'm open to hearing it.
Well, I mean, like, if anything, man, I think like this is really cool. Like, this is kind of what you want to see with new NFT brands, right? To where like the community really starts like taking steps and like developing, start developing stuff. I mean, like, I do kind of feel like that's pretty much it, but maybe like, well, maybe like one thing to like allude to would be like, what are the things you would hope to build or accomplish for MidHorde on a longer time frame?
Well, I'm hoping that Primevals get absorbed into the Horde. I've already made that pitch a couple times, so I think that could help us expand kind of into other things and so forth. But bottom line is, I just want it to be a fun place for people to go and do stuff, things to interact with, whether it be games, whether it be utility in terms of building a collage or making a swap. But literally, I just want people to have fun with it. And if it helps them out with a thing here or there, great. But I don't have any other long-term objectives other than, just continue to have fun, support the project where I can. I don't want to do anything that conflicts with the project, or so working on that same arc. But yeah, it's really sticking to the thesis of MidEvils, which is just having fun with it and having being able to interact with it.
That makes sense. Well, I mean, like, Bob, thank you so much for your time and like coming here. Like, as a collector, this is like especially like the things which make it fun, in my opinion. I think like as time progresses, we'll see like where all of this is going to end or like gonna lead towards. And more than anything, like, thank you so much for like getting up at 5 o'clock in order to like right, like this is highly appreciated. Like, thank you so much for taking the time. And
no, I totally appreciate it, and appreciating all the work you're doing here to hype up and help pump our bags. I love the outfit, I love the beanie. I am jealous of the setup you have with StreamYard and stuff. So we'll talk
appreciate
more.
it, man.
You gotta help a brother out.
Oh, hell yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, right? The part I really want to share with people is how fun the collection part is.
Yeah.
I mean, like, whether you're collecting sports memorabilia, whether you're collecting Pokemon cards, baseball cards, whatever. We just happened to choose NFTs, and there's like a whole bunch of digital fun you can have with this. I think like one of the truly special things, and I'm probably like the most special thing about it, is we've never seen each other, but I'm sure that like whenever you'd be like somewhere like around my place in the world, or I would go to the States or whatever, right? We can have like a steak dinner and have a good time, like talking about MidEvils.
No, for sure. I might have to schedule a trip. I think my wife mentioned that she'd be interested in your neck of the woods, so you may see me out there sooner than later.
Oh, let's do it.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Again, thanks for having me on. Great work in what you're doing here. Love the content. I had listened to your ZFi and your ZFi show earlier before this. So people are listening and love the content.
Appreciate it, brother. Let's talk sometime soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Much appreciated. Anyone who's willing to give up time to basically tune in, be entertained, listen to what we have to share. Thank you so much. And if you'd have like any questions, feel free to DM me. If you'd have like any questions on Horde, on orgs, on whatever, feel free to send Bob a DM. I think like Bob, your tag is Bob Carson as well, right?
Yeah, I think my X tag is Syndra BTC. It's an old World of Warcraft name with BTC at the end, but yeah, I go by Bob
there you
Carson.
go. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thanks, guys.